Good afternoon to all. So myself, V. Santosh, Assistant Professor in the Department of Chemical Engineering here at Singundra Engineering College. So in this lecture, I am going to discuss the need of alternative fuel sources in the current scenario. So this is a very much needed topic as far as the alternative fuel sources are concerned. So here is the introduction to the lecture. Petroleum-based fuels has been used as a source of energy right from early 6th century. The increased environmental degradation, very high petroleum prices, limited reserves made researchers to identify a clean and renewable fuel as a replacement for the existing petroleum-based fuel. So you can see the world is getting modernized and industrialized day by day. As a result, what happens? So the vehicles and the engines are keep on increasing. So, but the energy sources used in these engines are limited and they are decreasing gradually. So this situation, you can imagine, it leads to seek an alternative fuel. So normally the transport also becomes an essential part of the life as far as the civilization is growing. So the biggest problem here is the growing population as well as the depletion of fossil fuel. So if you see about 100 years ago, what happens? So the major source of energy shifted from recent solar to fossil fuel. So fossil fuel in the sense that is hydrocarbons. So the technology has generally led to a greater use of hydrocarbon fuels, thereby making the civilization vulnerable to decrease in supply. So this necessitates the search for alternative fuel as an energy source. So all around the world, the air pollution is becoming an environmental concern, and it also acts as a health issue. So whenever the pollutants are pumped into the air, they are not only affecting the atmosphere, but they can also make their way into groundwater and soil. So this air pollution can be harmful even to most unlikely organisms such as plants, birds, fish and mammals. So we humans are also no exception to these effects. We are also going to get affected by this air pollution. So these alternative fuels, known as non-conventional and advanced fuels, are any materials or substances that can be used as fuels. So if you can see, these alternative fuels includes newly developed fuels such as ethanol, biodiesel, natural gas, propane, and hydrogen. So they are called as the alternative fuels. They are listed as the major alternative fuels. So each of these alternative fuels has their own advantages and drawbacks. But the most common property among all of them is they can burn cleaner than fossil fuels. So if the world can begin to depend less upon the fossil fuels and more upon the alternative energy sources, better health and air quality could be achieved. Right? So it is necessary for us to identify what emissions are and where they are coming from. So the main purpose of using the fuel is to store energy. It should be in a stable form and they can easily be transported to the place of use. So almost if you see all the fuels are chemical fuels. So the user employs this fuel to generate heat or to perform mechanical work such as powering an engine. You can imagine. So it is also used to generate the electricity which is used for heating purpose, lighting as well as for other domestic purposes. So all the fossil fuels are non-renewable and as such they will eventually be depleted. So as they are based on infinite resources, their distributions are heavily depending upon certain areas of the world. So what will happen? They will become more expensive. So further, if the energy generation from fossil fuels requires combustion. So it leads to the damage of environment with the use of pollutants and greenhouse gas emissions. So in order to sustain the future of the world with a clean environment and with no depletive energy sources involved, so obviously we should focus our attention towards the alternative energy sources. So you can see alternative fuels includes biodiesel, bioalcohol, refuse-derived fuel, chemically stored electricity, hydrogen, non-fossil methane, non-fossil natural gas, vegetable oil, propane, and other biomass sources. The vehicles contribute the most to the air pollution and climate change in the metropolitan cities because they emit carbon dioxide heavily. So the major four alternative fuels which has got the potential use in the transportation sector are listed here. These are compressed natural gas that is called as CNG, liquefied petroleum gas that is called as LPG, biodiesel and alco gas. So among all the alternative fuels, our focus is on biodiesel. So biodiesel produced seems to be a promising substitute as an alternative fuel, and it has gained significant attention due to the predicted shortness of conventional fuels and the environmental concern. Right. Next, we will see why we choose alternative fuel. What is the need for choosing alternative fuel? So there are a number of reasons for this. So it is necessary to focus on the use of alternative fuels for the sake of following reasons. So conventional fuels are going to run out. So that is one thing. So we need to determine a new method or solution with respect to finding different countries to create new fuels which would reduce the unrest and conflict resulting from the world's dependence on fossil fuel or dependence on fuel supply. So that is the first thing. Second, you can see to reduce pollution. The use of alternative fuels decreases the harmful exhaust emissions such as carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, particulate matter, and sulfur dioxide, as well as ozone producing emissions. So, pollution reduction is a common thing as far as for the shifting of alternative fuels is concerned. Third one is to protect against global warming. So you can see, according to a commonly accepted scientific theory, burning fossil fuels was causing temperatures to rise in Earth's atmosphere. So that is called as global warming. So though global warming continues to be just a theory, a lot of people across the globe are of the belief that discovering sources of cleaner burning fuel is the first and foremost step towards enhancing the quality of our environment. So to protect against global warming is one of the major concern. Next, to save money, that is also very important. So alternative fuels, if produced and implemented, they can be less expensive to use, not just in terms of the fuel itself, but also in terms of a longer service life. So this in turn means savings for the long term, right? So then we can reuse the waste. That is one thing. So biofuels, bioproducts, biopower provide a modern and fresh relevance to the old belief that some of the trash that has been used for one person is a treasure of another. So, in that sense, we can reuse the waste. Then it is very easy to handle and store. So, storing and handling of the alternative fuels is very easy. Then you can see alternative fuels are biodegradable and non-toxic. Then it can able to help the farmers. So the use of biofuels that depend on crops produced and processed locally help to support the farmers for their dedicated and hard labor. So biodiesel and the ethanol cooperatives are a result of the great effort from the farmer cooperatives that assist with returning power to the hands of the people. So that is one major thing we need to identify. So they can be frequently produced domestically. They can frequently be produced domestically. So alternative fuels can be developed domestically, thereby utilizing a country's resources and thereby strengthening the economy. Right. So next, we can speak on the fuel economy and more convenience. So vehicles driven on hydrogen fuel cells and diesel are more economical with respect to fuel compared to an equivalent gasoline vehicle. So fuel economy can be maintained. So more convenience if you can use the wireless charging. You can see wireless charging is one of the major factors that makes the alternative fuels more convenient. Right. So these are all the major reasons why we are choosing the alternative fuels. Next, you can see the major alternative fuels. So I have listed out the major alternative fuels here: methanol, propane, ethanol, methane, electricity, hybrid electricity, biodiesel, and hydrogen fuel cells. So we will discuss the properties of each and every alternative fuel here. First one is methanol. So the methanol or wood alcohol is a colorless, odorless toxic liquid. So methanol is produced by replacing one hydrogen atom of methane with a hydroxyl radical, that is OH group. So it can be produced from natural gas, coal, residual oil, or biomass. Next one is propane. So propane is an energy-rich fossil fuel. It is often called as LPG, that is liquefied petroleum gas. So speaking about the properties of propane, it is a colorless and odorless chemical. An odorant called mercaptan is added in order to serve as a warning agent. The propane is a byproduct of petroleum refining and the natural gas processing. As like all fossil fuels, propane is non-renewable. So the chemical formula. The chemical formula for propane is C3H8. Next, we can see ethanol. Ethanol is a clear, colorless alcohol fuel made by fermenting the sugars found in grains such as corn and wheat, as well as potato waste, cheese whey, corn fiber, rice straw, urban waste, and yard clippings. So yeast is used in order to ferment the sugars and starch in the feedstock. A new process is being developed which utilizes the enzymes to break down the cellulose and woody fibers, thereby making it possible to produce the ethanol from trees, grasses, and crop residues. Next one is methane. You can see methane. Methane is a natural gas that we use for the purposes of heating, cooking, drying our clothes, and for heating the water. And it can also be a clean burning transportation fuel when compressed, and as well as liquefied. So liquefied in the sense that is called as LNG, compressed form in the sense it is called as compressed natural gas. So CNG vehicles emit 85 to 90 percentage less carbon monoxide, 10 to 20% less carbon dioxide, and 90% fewer reactive non-methane hydrocarbons than the gasoline-powered vehicles. Next, you can see the hybrid electricity. So here there are two energy sources normally available. One is an energy conversion unit and an energy storage device. So the energy conversion unit is combustion engine or fuel cell. Energy storage device consists of a battery, it can be a battery, flywheel, or it can be a ultra capacitor. So the energy conversion unit must be powered by gasoline, methanol, compressed natural gas, hydrogen, or any other alternative fuels. Right. So these are all some of the major alternative fuels. Next, we are looking about the definition of biodiesel. So biodiesel seems to be a promising alternative among all the substitutes. Hence, we are going to shift our focus towards biodiesel. So biodiesel. What is biodiesel? It is a fuel composed of monoalkyl esters of long-chain fatty acids derived from vegetable oils and animal fats. So the product which has been obtained at the end is FAME. So FAME is nothing but fatty acid methyl ester. So you cannot call the FAME, that is fatty acid methyl ester, as biodiesel unless it meets the specific standards. It should meet the relevant standard proposed by the biodiesel standards. So otherwise we cannot call FAME as biodiesel. So here I have listed out the advantages of biodiesel. So biodiesel is biodegradable. It has got a low emission profile, low toxicity, better fuel, efficiency is very high, and high lubricity. So these are all some of the advantages of biodiesel. So you can see the biodiesel background. So there are four main production methods available for production of biodiesel. One is direct use and blending. Second one is microemulsions. Third one is thermal cracking. Fourth one is transesterification. So out of all the four methods, the transesterification is the most commonly used method for the production of biodiesel. So it is nothing but the reaction of a fat or oil with an alcohol to form esters. So that is biodiesel. In this reaction, the glycerol has been obtained as a byproduct. So when you treat a vegetable oil or an animal fat along with the alcohol in the presence of a catalyst, we will yield biodiesel. So and the glycerol has been obtained as a byproduct in this transesterification reaction. So you can see the transesterification reaction here. So transesterification reaction is nothing but treatment of a triglyceride. Here we are treating a triglyceride with methanol in the presence of potassium hydroxide catalyst. So we will yield a mixture of fatty esters and glycerin as a byproduct. Out of all the four methods, transesterification is the most widely used method for the production of biodiesel. So next, what is the need for using heterogeneous catalyst? Now, what is the advantage of using a heterogeneous catalyst over homogeneous catalyst? So if we use heterogeneous catalyst, what happens? So the separation of the catalyst is very easy. Easy separation of the catalyst from the reaction medium is possible. Also, recycling and regeneration of the catalyst is possible. Reduction of corrosion problems, even if acid species are involved, free from soap formation. It is a safer, cheaper, and more environmental friendly when compared to homogeneous catalyst. So for these reasons, heterogeneous catalysts are widely employed for the production of biodiesel over homogeneous catalyst. So you can see the appropriate technology. How to select the appropriate technology for the production of biodiesel. So the selection of appropriate technology for the production of biodiesel requires careful selection of processing steps. Catalyst selection plays a very important role, and downstream process integration. The quality of feed vegetable oil, particularly free fatty acids content, plays an important role in identifying the suitable technology. So here we will discuss the important factors to be considered. That must be able to process variety of vegetable oils without modification or with minimum modifications. So it must be able to process high free fatty acid containing alcohols, feedstocks. It must be able to process raw both expelled oil as well as refined oil. So the process should be environmental friendly. Almost it should contain zero effluents. So it can be able to produce marketable byproducts such as glycerin, fatty acids, and soap, if any. So it must be able to produce fuel grade esters. Biodiesel produced should meet the standard specifications. The process should be adaptable over a large range of production capacities. So that is also very important. So here there are three basic processes involved. So one is a base catalyzed process. So we'll see what is the basic methodology of base catalyst process. So this process is suitable for feedstocks having free fatty acid content greater than 1% to about 20%. In this process, the oil is pre-treated before transesterification at moderate temperature, so say 60 to 80 degrees Celsius, in the presence of a base catalyst. Free fatty acids are also converted to biodiesel, resulting in higher yield of biodiesel. So the pre-treatment of oil is must in order to bring down the acid value of the oil to a lower level, so that it can be treated with the catalyst in order to produce the biodiesel. So you can see the flowchart for the base catalyst transesterification reaction. So vegetable oil is being pre-treated. So that is the first step. So after the pre-treatment of the oil, transesterification reaction is going to take place. So you are adding methanol along with the catalyst. So once the methanol catalyst and vegetable oil is getting reacted, so we will yield the crude glycerin and crude biodiesel. So the glycerin has been refined and the excess methanol has been recovered and it is reused. So once the glycerin refining is over, we will get the pure glycerin, and the biodiesel has been refined and we will get the biodiesel. So you can see the main features of first process, that is base catalyst transesterification. The flexibility for processing variety of vegetable oils separately or mixed without any modification, tolerance of higher levels of free fatty acids, conversion of free fatty acids present in feed oils to biodiesel, or alternatively, free fatty acids can be recovered as a byproduct or it can be recovered as a soap. The biodiesel produced must meet the standard specification. So that is American Society of Testing Materials (ASTM) standards or European standards. So the glycerin produced here is 99% pure. This process can be adapted to wide range of production capacities. So these are all the main features of process one. So if you see the second process, it is called as a solid catalyst process. So this process is suited to feedstocks containing wide range of free fatty acids or 100% free fatty acids. So in this process, esterification of free fatty acid is carried out and the transesterification of triglyceride is carried out in a single step over a heterogeneous catalyst at moderate temperature and pressure. So you can see the uh, process diagram for the second process, that is solid catalyst process. So the fresh vegetable oil is being fed into the reactor along with the fresh methanol. So both esterification and transesterification is going to be carried out, and then methanol recovery, followed by that separation, phase separation. We will get two products. One is glycerin as well as biodiesel. So both these phases has to be separated out by means of refining process. So glycerin refining will give the pure glycerin, and biodiesel purification step has to be done in order to yield the pure biodiesel. And we can use the recycled methanol as a feed for the next process. So you can see the main features of process 2. So the flexibility of processing variety of vegetable oils separately or mixed. Tolerance of higher levels of free fatty acids. They require no pre-treatment or removal of free fatty acids. Conversion of free fatty acids present in feed oils to biodiesel. Tolerance of water in alcohol. That means aqueous ethanol can be used as far as this solid catalyst process is concerned. So these are the main features of the solid catalyst process. Then we are also need to look at there is no emulsion or soap formation in this solid catalyst process. So the catalyst used is recycled and it is not deactivated either with water or free fatty acids. So the biodiesel produced has to be in line with the standard specifications. So the glycerin obtained must be 99% pure. The process should be eco-friendly with almost zero effluents. So this process can be adapted to wide range of production capacities to make sure that the process carried out is eco-friendly with almost zero effluents. So the pollution problem will not occur if you adapt the solid catalyst process since it is an eco-friendly process. So you can see the heterogeneous catalyst process, its technological and economic benefits. So use of heterogeneous catalyst. has a direct impact on the economics of biodiesel. Several neutralization and washing steps are needed for the processes using a homogeneous catalyst such as sodium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide, or eliminator. So also you need to see that elimination of waste associated streams are also possible while we use the heterogeneous catalyst process. Associated waste streams are getting eliminated thoroughly. So coming to the process 3. So this is called as the base catalyst solvent process. So where we are going to use this process, where we are going to employ this process. So this process is suitable for feedstocks having up to about 6% free fatty acids. So here the transesterification is carried out at ambient conditions in the presence of a base catalyst. So after the separation of glycerin, biodiesel is purified by distillation. Oil containing higher free fatty acids can also be processed if a pre-treatment step is included. So from the technical point of view, this process is especially suitable for small-scale operations. That is a base catalyst solvent process. So you can see the process diagram for production of biodiesel. So the removal of free fatty acid is an optional here. So oil is fed into the transesterification process where methanol and catalyst is being added from the another side and solvent is added successively. So once the methanol catalyst and the oil and the solvent is being treated for a longer period of time, so ultimately we are going to get two different products. One is glycerin, another one is biodiesel. So this glycerin separation of glycerin has to be followed by solvent recycling. So hence we can obtain the pure biodiesel. So these are the major three processes involved in the production of biodiesel. So one is base catalyzed transesterification, solid catalyzed transesterification, and base catalyst solvent process. So next, factors affecting the biodiesel production. So the effect of molar ratio to alcohol. So this is the first major factor. Normally, the transesterification reaction requires 3 mole of alcohol for 1 mole of triglycerides to 3 mole of fatty acid ester and 1 mole of glycerol. The excess amount of alcohol increases the conversion of fats into esters within a short time. So the yield of biodiesel increases with the increase in the concentration of alcohol up to a certain level of concentration. So the ratio of alcohol content may vary with the catalyst that we are using. For example, when we use alkali catalyst, the reaction requires 6 is to 1 ratio of alcohol to catalyze the transesterification of oils or fats. So in case the oil samples contain high free fatty acid, such as the reaction, it does not respond to the alkali catalyst. So in that situation, acid catalyst will be effective to catalyze the reaction, and the reaction requires higher amount of alcohol than the alkali catalyst. Next, you can see the second factor, effect of water and the free fatty acid contents. So base catalyst transesterification reaction requires water-free and low acid value raw materials, that is less than 1 for biodiesel production. So if the oil samples have high free fatty acid contents, that is more than 1%, then the reaction requires more alkali catalyst to neutralize the free fatty acids. Free fatty acid and water always produce negative result during the transesterification and causes soap formation and consumes the catalyst, which leads to the reduction of catalyst effect. So this is the effect of water and the free fatty acid contents. So the water and FFA also leads to the reduction of methyl ester. So they are also playing an important role in the reduction of the methyl ester. So to overcome this problem, we need supercritical methanol. So this usage of supercritical method when compared to alkaline and catalyst method, it seems to be more commendable and more comprehensive. So it may be noted that water has a very less influence in supercritical method. So, in fact, supercritical methanol method. So next one is reaction time. So the increase in fatty acid esters conversion is observed when there is an increase in reaction time. So the reaction is slow at the beginning due to the mixing and dispersion of oil and alcohol. So after that, the reaction proceeds very fast. However, if you take the maximum ester conversion was achieved within less than 90 minutes, further increase in the reaction time doesn't increase the variant product. So this is a major point that you must be able to remember. So reaction time does not increase the yield product if the ester conversion was achieved within 90 minutes. So next, reaction temperature. So higher reaction temperature increases the reaction rate and shortens the reaction time due to the reduction in viscosity of oils. So increase in reaction temperature beyond the optimal level leads to decrease of biodiesel yield because higher reaction temperature accelerates the saponification of triglycerides. So the range of optimal reaction temperature may vary from 50 degrees Celsius to 60 degrees Celsius. Depends upon the oil or fats that we are going to use for the process. So next comes the catalyst concentration. The most commonly used catalyst for the production of biodiesel are sodium hydroxide as well as potassium hydroxide. So when the concentration of the catalyst increases with the increase in oil sample, when the concentration of the catalyst increases with oil samples, the conversion of triglycerides into biodiesel also increases. So insufficient amount of catalyst leads to the incomplete conversion of triglycerides into fatty acid esters. So next one is agitation speed. So the agitation speed plays an important role in the formation of end product, that is monoalkyl ester or biodiesel. So because agitation of oil and catalyst mixture enhances the reaction. For example, the mixing intensities that we choose where around 200 rpm, 400 rpm, 600 and 800 rpm respectively for 60 minutes, while all the parameters are kept constant. At 400 rpm, higher conversion of end product is obtained. So agitation speed plays a very important role as far as the biodiesel production is concerned. So to replicate in the formation of end product, so this is formation of monoalkyl ester or biodiesel. So this is because low stirring speed shows low product formation. The higher stirring speed favors the soap formation rapidly. So this is due to the reverse behavior of transesterification reaction. Right. So let us conclude this lecture. So the different sources of fuels such as coal, petroleum are used increasingly day by day. These different sources are getting reduced. So the use of these non-renewable sources must be controlled or reduced. Otherwise, a day will come when there will be a shortage of these types of sources of energy, without which we cannot think about a very good living. So the government also must take necessary steps to restrict the use of these non-renewable sources and increase the use of renewable sources. And also, it should take efforts to discover the alternative fuels, and it should motivate the common people to use these fuels. So biodiesel is a viable substitute for the petroleum-based fuel. Its advantages are improved lubricity, higher cetane number, cleaner emissions, reduced global warming, and enhanced rural development. So, within any practical time frame, use of this and other renewable alternative energy sources contribute to more stable supply of energy. The major production centers on the level of modern petroleum refineries have not been developed yet. The economics of biodiesel fuels also, compared to traditional petroleum resources, are marginal. The public policy also needs to be revised to encourage the development. So there is also a need to meet the challenges of excessive import. So we need to strengthen our oilseed sector, and we need to lay special emphasis on harnessing the existing potential future of green fuel. So this can be achieved if we increase our organized plantation and systematic collection of oils. So it should reduce the import burden of crude petroleum substantially. So the agricultural sector must be exploited heavily, thereby establishing the model seed procurement centers, installing pre-processing facilities, and oil extraction unit must be developed. Transesterification units also must be developed for the production of biodiesel. Right. So this will enable our country to become independent in the fuel sector, thereby promoting and adopting biofuel as an alternative to petroleum fuels. So the biodiesel production related sectors and the industry can be grown in a rapid pace if we follow all these protocols in the near future. Thank you.